often, you know, I hear people say, well, why aren't I as successful as them? Why can't I fill my workshop? Well, you will be able to now. Karen shares her wisdom. You know, why can't I present confidently? Like, what's wrong with me? And I want to get it out there that, there's actually nothing wrong with you. We all have different passions, different strengths, different skills, different talents. You know, we come into business on our own. And we've got that dream and we've got that vision, but it doesn't suddenly give us a whole load of tools and a whole load of connections to really help that dream and that passion come into line. So, I guess my message is today, look at, and Fiona touched on this last night, look at what, you know, you really love doing, look at what you don't love doing, and just reach out, and who can you connect with that can really help you with that. It may be tools, it may be workshops, but sometimes we can get into overwhelm and you know, is it another workshop that you need, or is it a chat and, you know, working with a particular professional? So just stop and think. I'm developing a program which can really take you through a system of working out what you need and to take you out of that overwhelm of just bombardment. You know, with social media, we do get bombarded with different options and different things that can help us, but I can really help you focus on exactly what it is that you need in your business. So Liz Fry of lizfry.com, that's liz-fry.com, and just get in touch if you just need to get out that funk and need some direction, and let's get you back on the road again.
Fabulous, Liz. Hey, thanks for stepping in while I work through technology. We've had a fun time of technology in the past. Yes. So haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't put speed bumps in your title ever again.
No, because I've had a few. Hey, welcome everybody who's just joining us. My name's Fiona Hall, and this is the Business Made Easy show. We are live every Wednesday NZ time at 10 a.m. And we love to find the simple ways to do stuff because, hey, I'm kind of lazy, really. That's probably who I am. You describe me. Or, you know, if I want to reframe that, maybe I'd say I'm smart because I want to find more time to do the stuff I love and get rid of stuff I don't want to do so much. So we're based in Auckland, New Zealand. We're streaming out from Auckland, New Zealand today. And I run a business called Kiffin here, and I've done 2003. And I'm really passionate about getting business owners over that speed bump of growing their team, making sure they've got all the systems they need and all the information captured so their team know how to do a great job and deliver to their clients. So I'm going to hop into my nugget today, and my nugget is kind of following on something I touched last night, and there's a little quote that I kind of came up with myself when I was thinking about the word self-discipline. So I really think that self-discipline is about telling yourself what to do and then actually listening to yourself, and because that's when you start taking action, right? So when it comes to self-discipline, the key area I know most business owners struggle with is time. We are shookers. There's something quite kind of like exciting and empowering about being able to choose what you do when you do it, rather than being in an organization, having a boss and having co-workers watching what you're doing and being in that confined space. And it can be an exhilarating freedom, right? But it can also be really unproductive if you don't give yourself some self-discipline around your time. So my question for everyone listening today is, what do you need to do to be more productive? You probably know some stuff, right? If you could think about some things. So my biggest thing, and I know most people's, is distractions. So that funny Facebook video that you see, the cat video on Facebook, will be there when you go back. You do not need to jump on and watch it within 2 seconds of it being posted, right? That fear of missing out that we have is really strong, and that can really hold you back from actually getting on and doing the work you need to do to serve your clients. Now, what's driven that fear of missing out? It can be the loneliness. So part of being an entrepreneur is often we're working from home offices like Liz and I are, and probably many people listening in. And it can get really lonely. You're a social creature. You're missing out on that. So schedule time for social catch-ups. So whether that's going out to a networking meeting, have stuff to look forward to. So your social needs are being met in your business. So whether it's meeting up for coffee with a business colleague, whether it is a lunch with a group of people who you think, wow, what a great combination, we should get together and, maybe do some brainstorming, or a dinner or whatever. But make sure that you build in some sort of social time into your work week so you get your social needs met. So comment below, what do you do every week? Do you have anything? I know Liz is always meeting people. I know that she recently last week got locked in a garden centre. She was so keen on spending time with one of her friends, business colleagues. So please comment, what do you do to get their social needs met? Like, I have a Skype call with a friend twice a week, business colleague, just a half an hour one just to check in. I've also got a mastermind group, and we do an hour Zoom call once a week where we do hot seat each other's businesses. So kind of almost feel like I've got my board of directors on tap. I can check in with every week. And I also try and do, I have client meetings out, but I also try and do at least one networking meeting where I'm catching up with someone for coffee. And that just gets me out and gets me thinking differently about business. And usually, learning something about someone new industry or new information that's going to probably improve not just my business, but my client's business. So, yeah, pop in what you do to get your social needs met. Liz, what do you do?
So were you saying like you meet once a week for a catch up? Yeah,
for my kind of only a small group. There's only 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that one from Senka. I can't swear. Get stuff done days at other business besties' houses. Yeah, absolutely. Fiona and Nat and I had one of them recently, and it's amazing when you've got that accountability and you've just got that buzz and you've got that joint determination to get things done. Then they can work really well. I do have a lot of catch ups. Obviously, a lot of what I do is connecting people, and I'm always keen to meet new people that I can work, align with and things. So I'm very much face to face. So mine would be real life coffees. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
What about you, Karen?
I'm always out and about.
I can't hear Karen. I can't see her. Can everyone see her? Is it just me?
Oh, just you.
Ooh. Okay.
Do you want me to go away and come back?
I can't see or hear Karen at all.
She's just asking, do you want her to go away and come back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
I think you can see her.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, don't be long.
Today we're really going to talk about planning like a pro, because that's what Karen's all about. I can see myself twice now. Wow, Blab's doing some fun things today. I obviously need to spend less time on my computer because I'm having lots of technical issues.
Yeah. Yeah, it's telling you something.
It is, eh? I need to go I think I need to get some fresh air.
Yeah.
I think I need to go for a walk. Yeah? Do you reckon that would be a good idea? Fresh air outside.
Yeah. Leave your computer alone for a while.
I think I need to, eh? I think I'm getting this really strong message. Oh, I can see you! Yay! Oh!
Can you hear me?
Yes!
Awesome.
Hallelujah.
Right, let's go.
Right, let's rock into this. Hey, Senka's from Adventure Girls, and I went and did, she's joining us today, I can see in the messaging there. I learned how to do stand-up paddleboarding with her, and it was so much fun. She's all about the outside, getting outside. So cool to have you on today, Senka. Fantastic. So I'm going to do the intro now into our guest today, Karen Newbold. So I met Karen through some other businesswomen not long ago. I think we've been stalking each other on Facebook for a wee while, as you do. We, the fabulous Nellie Toloff, organised a group of us to meet for dinner before we went to see Elizabeth Gilbert speak at the Auckland Writers' Festival. And we kind of bonded over a love of systems and planning. We're geeky like that. So Karen runs a business called Ginger Thinking, and today she's going to talk about planning like a pro, events made easy. So Karen's got over 25 years experience in event management, so youthful.
Very old.
Along with related areas in sponsorship, promotions, marketing and communications. and she's hired international speakers and famous names and put together events here and in the UK. And she's worked on events ranging from small briefing meetings for politicians to outdoor music festivals for 10,000 people, holy hell, and everything in between. So, my gosh, she's got like a wealth of experience for us to draw on today, by the sound of that. She's currently completing the requirements for international certification and advises businesses on designing and including events as part of their marketing strategy. So that's something I'm super keen to listen to, and I imagine Liz is too. There's quite a few of us joining in, I know, today who are just at that point where they're going to be doing that quite soon. So I'm sure there's going to be some questions being fired through today. She says that many of us want to include workshops and events as part of our client offerings or promote business and services, but we don't necessarily know where to start. And it can be quite overwhelming. I know 2 years ago when I first started out, it took me a long time to figure out what to do and kind of muddled my way through. I wish I'd met you then. So Karen's going to help us today by covering what you need to consider to make your events work for you and the attendees. So it's all about those clients, those customers, and making sure they're being served right. So welcome, Karen Newbold.
Thank you. Hi. I think this is an interesting topic because when you talk about planning, people are either at one end of the spectrum or the other. And events, you can plan and plan and plan till the cows come home, but then it's going to throw things up on the night or on the day that you just can't anticipate. So you need to be able to plan and make sure that you've got things in place first, and then juggle when things go wrong, rather like Blab today.
Absolutely.
having a co-host was my best decision ever.
Absolutely. I think it's called holding the fort, isn't it, Liz?
Yeah, it's happened a couple of times.
and actually, that would be one of my top tips for event management as well. You, like me, have probably been to small-scale workshops or smaller events where the speaker thinks that they can do everything. And they're on the registration desk and they're trying to deal with things, and people are clearly coming along and they're excited, to meet you and want to talk to you. And in the meantime, you're getting queries from the venue, about last minute catering, or you're needing people are wanting to come along and they need extra chairs, or there's going to be issues, and you can't do everything yourself. So rather, like having a co-host here, have an offsider that can stay on the desk, that can deal with those things, so that you're free to actually prepare yourself and to deal with anything that comes up, and to be gracious and lovely to the people who've paid money to come along to hear your genius.
Totally
awesome.
Is there a ratio around that? Would you say in terms of how many helpers you would need in terms of, as your events get bigger? So say under 20, you and one person, and then how would you scale that?
I think it depends on who you've got working with you, how much you trust them, and how capable they are. But it doesn't hurt to have at least 2 people on a registration desk, for example, because if somebody's called away, if there's an emergency, or if the venue needs to talk to you, which they invariably do, or something occurs and you might need to give assistance to somebody, you can't leave it unmanned. So if you possibly can, have a couple of people along, and usually you've got business friends or people who will attend without if you can give them a free pass or whatever, and they're all too happy to do it. If it's a larger scale event, then I would definitely say get somebody in that you're going to be paying, so that that they're going to be there early, they're going to take on board what you're looking for. They're not going to get distracted when their own friends rock up, and that they're actually going to be responsible, throughout the event. Because the other issue that often comes up is that they'll check people through and they'll say, "Oh, I want to have a good seat myself," and they'll go inside, leave the desk, and of course you've got latecomers and people that they need to be looked after once the event's actually underway. So, I mean, I'm focusing here and thinking really about sort of workshops and seminars, but clearly this applies to, you know, conferences, concerts, theatre shows, anything along those lines as well. So, you know, just think about, I mean, the key tip really is to sort of think about who's going to be doing the things that you're doing when you're not able to do them.
Yeah, cool.
Did you find, Karen, that you learnt this from running events and now you want to spread the word on how to do it better, or from organising events, like from running your own events, or from organising events for other people and helping them put a structure in the first place?
Probably a bit of both. I can be horribly critical of other people's events because I can see that improvements can be made. In the same way that I'm sure you're very critical of people's systems, Fiona, when you go and you know, see what they're doing and you think, oh, it would be so much easier if. But I think the reason that I got into events in the first place really was because I love the live buzz. I love connecting with people. I like experiences like that. I think you can always learn from anything that you attend. And so I like going along to things. And that's why, you know, I drag my children along to WOMAD and to Explore and, you know, go to the theatre and go to talks as often as I can, because I really like that connective buzz that you get. But of course, you know, I go along to these things and think, well, you know, from a participant point of view, this could be so much better, or nobody knows where to go to, and you know, and this could be easier. So you're all, I suppose, car mechanics are always listing out for knocks on people's, you know, cars when they're given a lift, but you know, so it's occupational hazard, I suppose. But it is easy to get these things right and to eliminate some of those issues, I think. So,
what would be the top challenges? You know, there's a reoccurring thing that people get wrong.
Well, from a participant point of view, if you ask people afterwards what an event was like, when they remember back, they remember whether the room was really hot and crowded, whether they got a good view. They remember whether the seat was comfortable, and they remember the food or lack of.
Wow.
So, and you can have the best event, you can have the best speaker. I've heard of, you know, people going along to fabulous motivational events, and but it's spoiled because of those elements. If you're standing outside queuing for ages, if people can't find your name on the door, if there are technical issues, then all of those things affect it. But you know, people remember if there's nowhere for them to sit with their friends, and if they're really uncomfortable when they're in there, it's very detracting from the actual message that's trying to come across, or from your enjoyment. So you know, although you might have the best reasons for going to something, actually get those basics right first. You know. You know, and that's tricky to do if you don't know how many people are going to come to your event, and you don't know, you know, what the room setup's exactly going to be like. But that's why I have a sort of 7 Ps approach, which
tell us about that.
Well, it sort of covers all of the elements of event planning within 7 broad headings, which begin with P, and it starts really with a purpose. You know, what are you holding the event for, and why are you doing it? But I think that the key P, the most important P, is the participant experience, because those are the people that are buying tickets, those are the people who have given up their time to come along. They need to know, they need to get out of it what they're expecting, really. So those expectations that you put together in your promotion and your pricing and in all of those elements of it, or in the production of the thing, the actual logistics, all of those combined create that a participant experience. And that's and you can assess that. You know, you can ask people beforehand what they want to get out of it. You can check with your friends, with your business buddies, and you can do surveys afterwards and invite feedback. But that's the key element, because if you don't consider that, then really you're just throwing time and planning together and not actually assessing whether it's hitting the mark.
Yeah. What do you think creates the wow factor for that participant experience? Can you give us some examples of things that you've gone, wow, that was fantastic?
I personally like unexpected elements.
Yeah.
And I think that people have a set of expectations, and that's going to be different for each person. So, yeah. You know, you might trot along to something and it's in a village hall, and you know the price has been set quite low, and you sort of going, well, I'll give it a go, you know, whatever. And then if that over delivers, it's going to be fabulous. But if you've been charged a lot of money and you go to an event and it's badly programmed, and it's not, it doesn't flow terribly well, and you're in a crowded space and it's all a bit haphazard and ramshackle, then you're not going to, you know, your expectations are not being met. So it's a case of moderating those and seeing how that works. I think it really does spoil it for me if I have to queue up for a long time. If, you know, particularly if it's in the rain, if people are rushed and people are pushed into something, if there's not enough consideration given to having time to absorb the information and to think about what you're taking in, and to have time to discuss that with the friends or colleagues that you're with.
Yeah.
And so it's important when you're programming a workshop, particularly, that you think about how much time people need for that. Because if you're constantly on this treadmill of, okay, you've got 2 minutes to fill in this page, you know, then people feel very flustered. People often don't like being put on the spot and being asked to speak in front of a room full of strangers.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
You need to be really mindful of that.
Yeah.
And just being considerate and just assessing the people that you've got there, and just being thoughtful really about what you're trying to get out of it, and really what the people attending are trying to get out of it.
Yeah. What do you, like? And I'm thinking about lead-in times, like before an event starts, you know, registration time and before the kickoff. Do you think half an hour, 3/4 of an hour? What do you think is an appropriate time to have that? People coming in and registering and settling in and having a cup of tea or a drink or whatever before the event start. What do you think? I'm thinking probably for smaller groups, you know.
I'm interested in what Liz thinks here, because I think this is a very Kiwi thing, that people turn up very early in comparison to the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a cultural thing then, across different countries. If you're listening in from somewhere else, let us know how long it usually before an event starts. If you've got some info, share.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect the doors to open possibly a maximum of half an hour before. You know, that's a standard if you're talking about the theatre, or if you're looking at a conference or something along those lines. So it means that as an organizer, really you should be looking at a minimum of an hour before, which is a good time, as long as your technical stuff is already set up by the venue.
Sure.
You know, as long as you're not anticipating any problems, then half an hour for your sound check and your technical check before you open the doors, half an hour before the start time, will be fine.
Yeah.
If you've got to get in and set everything up yourself, then clearly you're going to have to be there a lot earlier than that.
Yeah.
So it depends how much room dressing and planning, and you know, whether you're allocating seats to people and all of those things. But I have, certainly in New Zealand, I have had people turn up an hour before I had.
Wow.
Yeah, and it could be that they're very eager. it could be that they're coming from somewhere else. I personally wouldn't turn up that early because I wouldn't expect to be coming in, but people do. And so you have to think, right, have I got a lobby area? Have I got somewhere where these people can meet? You know, are they expecting to be in a queue and they're wanting to keep their place so that they can be first in and get first crack at the seats? Because if you end up with a throng of people and then you open the doors at, half an hour before, you're going to have a stampede.
Yeah, some health and safety issues, perhaps.
Absolutely.
So, and I know that a lot of workshops I've attended and things where people are educating someone and they're teaching, like it's a teachable kind of workshop, that they often will include a little bit of a networking beforehand. So an hour beforehand before it starts for networking and drinking would be appropriate, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. If you're going to do that, give people the chance to know that that's going to occur. Prepare them for the fact that there's going to be networking. Some people are not. That's not their primary objective.
Sure.
And if you know that there's going to be networking beforehand, but you're rushing because you've got to drop the children off somewhere, or you're coming from another event or whatever, you don't want people to think, well, I've got to rush because the talk's going to be starting, and then you rock up and actually just lots of people sort of standing around with a glass of wine.
Yes.
Give people that schedule so that they know what's happening. I think it's all about making sure that they're comfortable with what's going to occur. They've got an idea of the program, so that they've got some expectations, and that's just going to really help their participant experience.
That's the point that I wanted to bring up with you too and talk about, is that whole expectation setting. Like, how do you start that process? So going back, obviously, before the event and we're planning the event, going back to that whole aspect, how do you set that expectation? Like, what's the first place to start?
Certainly in your marketing and your promotion of the event, the way that you word it and the way that you structure it is going to make a big difference. If you say that something is a workshop, then there is an intimation there that it's going to involve some participation.
Yes.
That you are going. That it's probably going to be smaller. That you are going to probably have to speak in front of people and exchange information, and that it's going to be a doing rather than just a listening situation. Yeah. So that's going to really affect it. The price, I think, affects people's expectations, although pricing is an interesting one because people have different reasons for holding events.
Yes.
They might want to make it really accessible. They might want to do it as a lead-in to launch a program or to promote their other services. Sure. And you might want to be making sure that it's inclusive for people. So that's not so much of a guideline. But if you are charging a hefty fee and they sit on a hard seat and get a little, a cup of tea in a flimsy plastic cup, then not going to be happy.
No, not at all.
And in terms of, like from that start point, I've heard between 4 to 6 weeks before the event to start getting it out there. Is that what you recommend?
I would. I think there is. It's a case of knowing your market, and it could be that it's just a little quick events that people want to come along to, and it's almost impromptu. In your own life, you know that if it's a wedding that you're expecting to go along to, you want a lot of notice because
you get that frock.
Well, yeah, you probably want to lose a few pounds if you can. Get the frock. Make sure that you're not doing anything else that weekend. All of that stuff. But if it's just a sort of, hey, let's go out on Friday, that can work. There is a lot of competition for people's time. We are exactly time poor. But having said that, you'll probably know, Liz, from your events, that people tend to sit on the fence, and even if you're promoting it, and they could well have put it in their diary, they could have made a note of it, they will often only make a decision a week out, because for whatever reason they might think that it seems, May seems an awfully long way away, or that they're not sure what they're going to be doing, or they might feel a little bit overwhelmed or concerned, and they might have signed up to lots of other things. So I think really, yes, by all means, plan it 6 weeks in advance or further if you can, and that will give you better venue availability. You can start promoting it so that people can get it into their diaries and so forth, but really be prepared that actually it's so much these days is just last minute, and you have to be prepared for people to be ringing up, signing up on the day. You are going to have to change your name tags. You are going to have to try to allow for extra seating. It's a bit of a sort of gut instinct situation, really, because people will be ringing you up, half an hour before or an hour before, saying, "Can I still come along?" And of course, if you're then on the registration desk because you haven't taken advice and you've got nobody else there, you're too busy dealing with the people that are there and setting up everything else.
Hey, I was talking to Pauline yesterday, and she was talking about that whole fear of missing out thing in terms of events. I often, sometimes, I'm the same. I'm like, a thing or something will come up, and then I notice a whole bunch of people I know are going. I'm like, that is definitely, there's that. Well, not so much the fear of missing out. It's like, there must be something good here. I'll pay more attention and I'll look at it deeper. So there's that. I'm more inclined to read through and go, actually, no, I don't want to go to that. Or
Well, it's events are not like online courses. You can't just download it and do it whenever you want to.
Exactly.
There is a dynamic involved, and that dynamic is going to change depending upon who's there. So if you've got a lot of friends that are going along, and that you can share with and that you can discuss it with afterwards, you do get that sort of collective spirit, and that totally affects the way that you absorb and enjoy it. So yes, I'm a bit the same, really. But it's like concerts, isn't it? I didn't go to see Prince when he was
and I'm kicking myself.
But I in business terms, you don't know whether these things are going to happen again. There's even if something is a series, or even if something, if there's a workshop that people put on, twice a year or whatever, do you really want to wait 6 months to get that information that you could have been implementing in your business, in that intervening time?
For those of people who are listening in, who are probably maybe looking at having workshops as part of their business strategy, an ongoing thing, how do you, what have you seen works in terms of promotion, or how you set expectations that if someone missed out, say maybe you run them every quarter, how would you set that up in terms of expectations, or attracting those people, or making it easy for them to book?
Well, the key element that you've got that is going to help people is the fact that they have missed out on this occasion. So what you want to do is make sure that you get the feedback from people straight away. Keep that information talking about how fabulous things were, like your event last night, and say, if you were, this was gold. If you don't want to miss out, I'm going to be running it. I'm going to be running my own workshop in 2 months' time, and give people the opportunity. Because once it's gone, it's gone. But give them the chance to say, right, I can catch up with this. So that would be my key tip for sort of creating momentum. So
capturing the photos and the stories of people's feedback from the events, and using that for your marketing collateral for the next one.
Yeah, and word of mouth, if people came along and really enjoyed it and resonated with you and liked your message, and that they've got the opportunity to say to their friends, hey, actually what she was talking about was brilliant and it would be great for you, give them the opportunity to book something there and then. And you do see that with with anything else. With theatre or with other speeches, or very much with conferencing. As soon as if you've been to a 3-day conference, you really should have the registration page for next year open straight away, because people want to make it a regular thing.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So if you're running, say, maybe not the same workshop, but a series of workshops throughout the year, maybe you do. So like book in for the next one now. So make sure that you've got the opportunity to capture that sale, why they're hot, why they're excited. Yeah.
Yeah. And whilst they know that they're planning something else that's going to help them, if you let people go away and say, right, okay, well, I'll be in touch with the next one, and you're going to lose people.
Yes.
Whereas if you've got the opportunity there and then, some people see it as a really sort of cheesy and slightly pushy sales technique, but it's actually thinking about the participants and thinking about what's going to make it easy for them. If they get the chance to have a discount, you can have that as an incentive. Then that's great, obviously. But if they're able to just look in their diary at the time and go, right, okay, I'm going to do this in 3 months' time, or in 6 weeks we're doing another one, which is a follow-up. In lots of industries and lots of service areas, that's a really good time frame to have sort of 6 weeks or 2 months in between events. Because it means that people have got time to go away, absorb the information that they've had, put things into practice, and be ready for the next step. So even if you were planning something that was primarily online, so if you were putting together an online program, for example, which was maybe an 8-week program, I personally feel that having some face-to-face input really helps with that, and you can do that online if you've got participants all over the world. But if most of them are localized, then incorporate it into your planning so that you can say, right, we're having a kick-off workshop, or we're having a little get-together, or we come and meet me so that we can talk about how you feel at the outset. It just makes it more personal. It gets people involved. It means that if you've got a Facebook group, or you've got some sort of online community, people remember who you are because they've actually met you, and it makes that dynamic completely different. And then have something at the end which is a celebration, which brings things together. You're going to get fabulous anecdotal information that way, talking about how your program has changed their perception and their practices and their business, and that's the point at which people are going to say to you, oh, well, I feel like we're really on a roll now. What's next? They're not going to want to lose that connection and that group.
Nice.
So yes, that's I think that's important. It's and it's a good way just to make sure that people are going to get as much as they can out of what you're providing.
Cool. In terms of getting the message out there again, obviously with Facebook, I think not a day goes by without being invited to something either online or in real life or pretend or something. How can we stand out? Are there any good tools or any good ways of actually making our event look different, getting people to sign up, rather than just getting caught up in the list of Facebook events kind of thing? Anything along those lines?
Yeah, I think I used to work in radio, and I used to run lots of events for clients, joint branded events, or programs that were on air, and what I learned from that was that really it's a case of getting something catchy together. If you can get a catchy name for your event, something that's going to draw attention, it's going to make a big difference. So if you can just sort of summarize it in 3 words, I'm a cheesy person that really likes alliteration, but I think it really works.
Yeah, me too.
Just get yourself a funny little title which draws the attention and then gives you the opportunity to say, it's this is what this is about. So you've got, you can use that title for graphics as well, but just have something that's a bit different, because we, as you say, Liz, we get bombarded with these things, and it's like, oh, come along to this, blah blah blah, and it's if it sounds too dull, you're just going to go, nah, actually, no, this is working. If you've got a title that doesn't really talk about what the event is, and then they have to do screeds and screeds of information, that's not going to work either. So you might as well have something that's a little bit funny or a bit quirky, that's just going to draw the attention and get people to actually read that information. But
do you think video invitations are, I've noticed it, obviously Facebook Live and videos are becoming really big. Do you think a little video invitation is like a good way to go to get people who don't know you to know you and connect with you as a person?
Yeah, as long as you don't go into too much detail, go on and on and on, because then people are going to think, well, I couldn't bear it for 5 minutes. I'm not going to sit there for an hour and a half. It needs keep the information concise. It's a case of looking at how much information you give to explain what's involved in the event or the workshop, without sort of going through it in so much detail. You don't need to say, this module is this, this module is about this, this is about this, we're going to cover blah blah blah. It's not a syllabus, it's talking about the insights that you're going to get from that. And again, it's a case of looking at expectations. Realistically, what can you do? It's an introduction. You're going to cover the key key elements of it, and that's really the main focus.
Cool.
That's enough to bring people in.
Yeah, awesome. There's a question from Annika. Do you do event feedback?
Yes, definitely. I've put together a live workshop for the end of the month and would love to know if the title is catchy enough. Yes, I would be very interested in looking at that for you, Annika. No problem. The other thing that I do is meet with people to discuss, to look at these 7 Ps, to make sure that they've covered each of those elements, to talk about the programme and assess whether they've got enough time and they've paced it properly, because we've all been to events where you run along for an hour and then suddenly somebody's got 600 slides left and they start rushing through very, very fast. Or worse, they say, oh, we haven't covered this, and then you feel cheated. Or they say, oh, and the rest of it is in the event handout. Well, I've come to the event. I don't just want to hand it out.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really good point. So that means that whole preparation time is so important, that you actually go through it and time yourself.
Well, time yourself, but allow for the fact that there will be questions, that there could be delays, that you could have technical issues, that you might get. You might suddenly have flashes of brilliance and want to include other information. And go a little bit off topic, but that's relevant to the audience that's there. I would certainly build in a lot more time than you expect. I mean, I also, amongst my other stuff, I've done adult teaching qualifications, and that's one element that's covered within that training. That people take longer to digest than you might think. There'll be left field questions coming in. That you might have technical issues, that you might be completely sidelined. You just don't know, and so you can check that by talking to colleagues or friends. But if you need a bit of sort of expert input, or if you want people to say, somebody who can say, well, actually that's really disjointed and it doesn't work and it doesn't flow, you're not going to be able to follow it. Then come to somebody that can actually assess it properly for you. So, I mean, one thing that I haven't touched on really, and should do, is your legal requirements and your obligations. because within the new health and safety legislation within New Zealand, there are different concerns which have just come in last month. Because if you hold your own workshop or event, you are now a PCBU. Which is a person conducting a business or undertaking. And so, which basically means that you are liable for those people who are coming along. And it's not as onerous as it sounds, but it does mean that you can't just say, oh, the venue will take care of this, or, oh, I'm okay. You actually have to have put some thought into a health and safety plan, identifying hazards, making sure that you've tried to minimise those hazards, and that you've got things like first aid provision in place.
That's a really good point, because you don't want to be slapped with a fine when someone falls over and breaks the ankle.
Or a prison sentence. That would be dreadful,
that would put a damper on it.
So it's nothing that people should be scared about, but if you're setting things up yourself and you've got a projector, and you have to make sure that people are not able to touch a hot projector,
trip over the cords,
gold themselves, trip over the cords, exactly. Make sure that you've got something in there talking about accessibility, that you've got provision for people who might be in a wheelchair or who might not be able to get around. Have a first aid box with you. If possible, have a first aid certificate if you're doing these things regularly, or identify somebody who's going who would be prepared to do that, and just make sure that you do the dull housekeeping elements first.
That's important, isn't it, when you're starting and opening your events, is actually covering off the housekeeping stuff first. We'll know where the exits are, where the toilets are, how things are, if they need water and where things are, covering that, making sure it's
and it's a dull way to start. And if you're wanting to make an impact as a presenter, it's not the best way to start. So if you go offside,
I was going to say, would you have someone else who did that for you, and then they can warm the audience up? They can almost be like the before the comedian comes on, that person who warms up the audience.
The warm up.
Yeah. What is there an official title for that, Karen? Is there an official title for that person?
I think it would be the warm up act.
There we go.
When you have support and people are just still getting their drinks at the concert and nobody really cares. So if you can do, then I would always say that, because it's not the strongest start. If you're a one person presenter, it's not the same if you're in a room with 8 people, but if you've got say 40 or 50 people that you're speaking to, it's far nicer to have somebody go through all of that, and then just give you a little introduction so that you can come in and be in your flow.
Ta-da! Here I am.
That would be
me, because I do cheese really well.
Cheese is good. Cheese makes people laugh, and if you can make people laugh and you can make them feel comfortable, that's all part of that participant experience.
It's a form, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. It's getting people to relax. As long as their chair's comfy, then you're going to be okay.
Hey, Karen, thank you so much for your words of wisdom today. Got lots of little notes down here. I'm sure Liz has got a couple of notes in there as well. If people want to connect with Karen, I've popped a link to her Facebook page, Ginger Thinking here. Anika, I'm sure Karen will be very happy for you to PM her on Facebook to chat about your event. So, do so. For those of you who want to connect with us and join our Business Made Easy Facebook page, Karen's going to pop over there. She's a member. All of our guests are a member of this Facebook group, so you can jump on over there and we can get you connected. Karen I'll pop a photo up there, a post up there with her, and you can pop any questions in there. I'm sure she'll be happy to give you some brief advice and answers. And I recommend you pop over to Ginger Thinking and connect with her. Thanks for all of your little words of wisdom. I know that I'm looking forward to seeing your events that are coming up this year. It's going to be fun, and maybe even working with you on that. That could be quite exciting. Quite looking forward to some collabs this year. I also wanted to talk about something that Liz and I, briefly before we leave, an event that we've been kind of percolating, and see if there's anybody in today who might be interested in what we were thinking at. So as Senka mentioned, that whole Get Stuff Done days. So we had the most amazingly productive day when we got together with Nat Toloff, and we powered through a lot of work. And we all brought our own little techniques and ideas along, and it worked really, really well. And then we thought, well, there's a lot of other people out there who are complaining about not having the time or making the time to work on their business. So if that's you, are you putting off working on your business because client billable stuff gets in the way? Make a note for yourself on this. We are looking at maybe holding a monthly Get Stuff Done day. It will be a weekend day. We haven't decided whether it will be a Saturday, Sunday. Depends on who's available. Only for a very small group, because I'll be hosting it at my home. And it is about getting stuff done. If you are creating a program, because a lot of us are writing stuff quite regularly, so it's an opportunity to bring all that stuff you've started to do and you haven't actually done it. So I'm looking at some possible guest experts who might be involved to help on the areas that people get stuck in. But the Get Stuff Done day is actually doing it. So being disciplined. So it's about rewiring your brain so you know how to do that. So you, because you've got the accountability of people around you, when that ping goes on Facebook because you haven't turned it off, everyone will be giving you the frown and the evil eye, so you won't be able to check it. But it's also a place to feel like you're connected, that social thing I talked about at the beginning of the day, having that, people on the same journey, getting some structure and skills and systems from me. And Liz was so good at keeping us on time and refocusing when Nat and I tried to talk.
Yeah, not allowed. Come on.
No, but she was so loving and great and graceful about getting us back on track again. So if you are having something in your if you've got something going on that is not happening, if you, like me, have bought David Syke Garland's awesome online courses and haven't completed it, you might be for you. So yeah, comment, PM either us if you want to know some more. And I'm gathering names. I've got 3 names so far, so we've only got 5 more spots available. We might even just keep it down to 6 if there's going to be me and Liz. So there's only actually 8 people. So, yeah, let us know if you'd like to join us. And, yeah, it will be a paid thing because we'll be giving some structure to it. And there'll be food as well supplied. So, yeah, just give us your name and we can give you some more details. So thanks so much to Karen Newbold today. Thank you, Liz. Any parting words of wisdom for people who are yet to embark on their first workshop or event, Liz?
Yeah, go for it. You know, there really is nothing else like getting in front of people to get your message out there. Yeah. You know, yes, in the world of social media and all the rest of it, there's lots of tools and things, but yeah, people want to know who they're connecting with, and yeah, you can't beat the whole face-to-face. So yeah, that would be my message. And
Karen, what's your parting words of wisdom for those newbies about to start?
I would reiterate what Liz had said. I know that it's scary. You tend to find people who think that it's really, really easy to run events or that it's really, really hard. And neither of those people do it terribly well. But yeah, get some advice, get some help from people. Even if you've been to events, you do actually have to put some thought into how your event is going to be, what you like, what you don't like, but really what you're hoping that people will get out of it. So keep thinking about it from that participant point of view, and you won't go far wrong.
That's a really important focus. Really important focus. That's one of the biggest things I've taken out, because I had got really caught up in making sure I get the right information and it's all dotted and T'd, but not thinking about all what's that experience. So that's my biggest takeaway from today.
Yeah, it's rather like getting somebody else to proofread your book.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, like that.
Yeah. Because you're too close to it. So, you know, just take a step back, think about it, think about you as a different person going along to this event, what you're going to like, what you don't like, and what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up this show today. Just letting you know, next week we have the avid girl boss, the Honest Food Company woman at the helm, Belinda Tukey. She's going to be joining us to talk about her journey from creating a business that's about products to creating a lifestyle business, Avid Girl Boss, which is about just teaching women to just be and own who they are. I think all of us attended her event a couple of weeks ago now, where she launched that new brand. So really keen to talk to her and find out more about what she's doing. Having one successful business and then, starting something new. So inspiring talk, I'm sure. Thanks for your time today, ladies, and I will see you on the other side. Bye now.
Great.